This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, everyone. February meeting, KTMPO is called to order. We do have a quorum. Do we have any public comment online or present?
Not online.
All right. First action item regarding the minutes. You can't see the rules unless you've already seen them, the email sent.
Make a motion to approve the minutes for January 21, 2026.
Moved by Bill Treadway to approve the minutes for
Second.
And second by Mr. Blumquist. Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right. Next item, discussion action items regarding approval of consultants to complete KTMPO task orders. Uryan.
All right, good morning, everybody. This is on pages 12 through 42 in your packet. I'm going to see if I can figure this remote out. Kendra's not here, so I'm struggling a little bit. In late 2025, we issued the 791 cooperative. We went through a bid process for the 791 cooperative for planning consultants. And we received a couple responses to that. Following that, staff started reaching out and sent task order requests to the consultants that had responded for 3 of the different plans that we have referenced in our UPWP, the resiliency plan, the travel demand model demographics, and the CMP. Following the receipt of those, we felt it best to bring it to the board for action to move forward in the future with the consultants that had submitted, provided we find available funding. When we put this in our UPWP, we severely underestimated what these studies were going to cost. So staff are going to need to prioritize which study gets done first. And how we move through that process along with what funding. If the board chooses to take action to approve the consultants that are presented to you today, and I believe it was Kimley Horn was selected for all 3. They were the only consultant that submitted for 2 of the studies, and they were the best competitor for the other study where we had 3 responses. The travel demand demographics study will have to be done this UPWP cycle, as well as the CMP. So those are really critical that we get those done. But like I just referenced, those all came in way over what we had anticipated in our UPWP. So if the board takes action for us to move forward and continue the conversations with the consultants, there would be no official contract entered into or anything signed moving forward with them officially until a UPWP amendment was brought before the board, which identifies the funding, as well as any contract recommendation for approval by the board. We don't want to just get this approval and say, well, you know what, let's go and run these to the ground. Unfortunately, we were just unaware of what these services would cost when we were in our planning budget. So right here, what we have in front of you is an action item for the board to allow us to continue moving forward with this process, full well knowing that staff are going to bring the actual contracts to the board for approval, and that they would be accompanied by a UPWP amendment. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Link to the contract.
What's that?
What's the length of the contract?
We would have to work through those.
Okay.
They would vary.
It'd be a task order.
Yeah.
The contract, since it's all task based, right? So
It's all task based, correct? But we would do an overall.
to choose a 791, you can determine
Correct.
the contract.
Correct.
So the approval of this action item with it, green light E funds at this point or not?
This does not allocate funds.
And we only have 1 consultant that's sitting, you said.
Well, there are 2 other consultants listed as well as with the scoring sheets. but Kimley-Horn was the top of that
But
list.
you're making a recommendation to award the contract to Kim
Correct.
with no determined length of the contract and no contract value.
At this point in time, correct.
So would you be coming back to the board for approval of each contract, or are you going to come back with how do you plan on coming back?
It would be 3 separate contracts that I would bring, because each of these studies is different in its own right. And then we have to prioritize which ones need to be done first. Like I said, the TDM demographics will have to be done first because it's part of our MTP update, which we have to submit information to TxDOT and TTI so that they can run numbers. But before they can do that, we have to have the information from our consultant. So that's a couple-year process to get the demographics updated.
The action we need today is to approve proceeding with the process.
Correct.
So the TDM, you're specifically saying this is demographics, this is not the network update.
I believe it's the demographic. It could also include the
Right.
network update.
And the reason I ask, is there any cost savings by having, say, the consultant work on congestion management and travel demand if it's looking at the network? If it's demographics on this side, congestion on that side, those are two different.
Yeah, we've kind of experienced where it potentially could be a cost savings, and of course, because Kimley-Horn's the only one on here, that it would be the same consultant. But we have in the past, when we've run into these, consultants have used our current data, so there was no additional cost.
Any other questions?
Is the action that you're looking for us to approve the contract or to authorize you to negotiate and finalize?
Authorize us to move forward with the process with the understanding that any official contract and financial obligation would come before the board. If that makes sense. Or am I just muddying the water? I could be making.
Your motion, I get it.
I
Your
could be
motion
making this way too difficult.
is just to approve the process.
So basically, we're approving
Us moving forward.
working with the consultants that you presented to present tasks to be approved later. Is that right?
Yeah.
No funding.
All right. I'll make a motion that we move forward with the consultants presented to get a request for proposals so we can move forward with this.
Second.
It's been moved by David Lee and which one of y'all want it?
You
Mike Pickinson. Seconded, David, Mike second. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carried. Thank you. All right, next item is also an action item regarding the approval of the KTMPO draft public engagement schedule. You find it on 43, pages 43 to 46.
This is Anita.
Thank you. Let me get to that page real quick. One of the things that we like to do here at Killeen-Temple MPO is look forward to the next year of all the opportunities for us to get out into the public. And so that's what this schedule is about. Can you move to the next slide, please? This right here is a bird's eye view of the opportunities that we'd like to get into the public. And Distracted Driving Awareness Month is in April. And the campaign will be Put the Phone Away or Pay. And then in May, we have the National Bike Safety Month, and there are all types of opportunities to get involved for your cities. I know the city of Coppers Cove is actually doing an adaptive bike rodeo, so that's going to be their first type of event. And so for the region, that is accessibility for all. That's a big win. If you're, the city of Nolanville is going to be doing the Ride of Silence. And so there's all types of opportunities for your communities to get involved and make a difference. June 6th is National Trails Day. Last year was our first National Trails Day. And of course, as you go through the year, October is Unplugged Texas Day. We have Pedestrian Safety Month. Again in October, National Car Seat Check Saturday. And so this is just an opportunity for us to educate the public engage them in our work and for us to collaborate together as a region. And we're looking to recommendation to approve that schedule of events.
Any questions on information presented? Is there a motion? We're looking for approval of the engagement schedule for this year.
Make a motion to approve KTMPO draft public engagement schedule for 2026.
So Treadway moves to approve the
Second.
second by Mr. Blanford. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Let's see. Item 6 is a discussion item regarding an update in TxDOT planning and programming division. It's found in pages 47 to 48. Ms. Mays is not here today.
Correct. Carolyn Mays with TxDOT was planning on presenting today, but and was invited, but she is unable to attend in person. So staff will coordinate an update from her at a future policy board meeting.
We'll move forward. Number 7, discussion item regarding the FY25 KTMPO planning metrics. Ms. Killeen. References in 49 to 50.
Are we good?
Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry about that. So this was, we wanted to kind of have our year in review for 2025. So we put together this little graphic to show all the work we've done last year. So we received about 152 public comments, and we had $49 million of UTP allocations. Our entire KTMPO region is serving about almost 500,000 people. We have amended 36 TIP projects. We've done about 30 hours of committee meetings. That's our ATAC, Policy Board, TAC, and Freight Advisory Committee meetings. And we met our big goal of our in-kind match, and we received $264,000 for that. So I know that was a huge one. For everyone in this room knows all about that, and that was a great achievement for us this past year. And we've done about 200 hours of staff training that includes all the different conferences and different meetings we've had with TxDOT and learning new things that our whole team has done. And we've covered over 10,000 lane miles, and we have about $21 million programmed in our TIP.
Any questions on this?
So, not that I need to know all the numbers, but when we put the numbers up, this versus planned, are we better or worse, or just this is what we are?
This is what we are.
Okay.
I think we're pretty good.
Okay.
That bottom number is definitely good. After all that past previous year.
I was going to comment, this is sort of like a baseline of something that we started tracking. So if y'all are interested in comparison, next year Callie will have something to compare.
That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other questions? Thanks. We'll move on to the next item. Discussion on fiscal year 25 HCTD service performance and marketing recap. Find a reference on pages 51 and 59. Ms. Crim.
Hi there, good morning. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Nicole Crim, and I am the VP of Strategic Services at the Hendrickson Transportation Group. I am currently supporting the HOP from a strategic and tactical marketing and communications perspective, and I'm also joined by Raymond Suarez, who is the GM of the HOP, who is in the room with you today. So I'm really excited to share this report. We have shared it with a couple of the HOP board, as well as the KTMPO board. So very excited to kind of share this high-level 2025 recap with you, just summarizing our operational performance, some rider survey results, and a recap of our marketing and communications initiatives. So super fun to run through this presentation, and I hope it gets you excited for 2026. But as I've told everybody, I would not want to start this presentation without giving the HOP staff a shout out. And thanks for all of their hard work for bringing our 2025 plans to fruition. They've done a great job. So if we went to the next slide, you'll see this is a summarized version of the HOP's more detailed annual metrics report, where we've pulled out some high-level metrics of interest. Overall, our operational metrics are moving in the right direction as we compare 2025 to 2024. Just to keep it short, I will call out overall system ridership of nearly 700,000, which is up 142% as compared to 2024. I'll also call out customer satisfaction, which is up from 93% in 2024 to 96% in 2025, which we believe likely goes hand in hand with the reduction in our wait times compared to 2024. So just for comparison's sake, in 2024, our wait times were about 16 minutes, and in 2025, they were hovering just over 13 minutes. So overall, we've seen operational improvements kind of across the board as we compare 2025 to 2024. On this slide is a snapshot of our recent rider survey that we conducted in October of 2025, just to learn a little bit more about our riders, how they're using the system, why they're using the system. We had nearly 1,000 submissions, which led to a 99% confidence level and a 4% margin of error in overall data. And I bring this up because the confidence rate and the margin of error metrics are really important milestones for us as we just ensure that the data is statistically valid and that we have an appropriate sampling of respondents across our service area. Looking at the overall data and trip purpose, we can see that the HOP is really largely delivering trips to a variety of age ranges and providing access to critical services and locations. On the next three slides are high-level summaries of our 2025 marketing and communications initiatives, which were revamped in late Q1 of 2025. We've broken down kind of the task list by quarter and shared just some samples of the work, although really this is just kind of the tip of the iceberg. But as we gain traction through the year and as we move slide to slide, you'll see that our task list became much larger with more robust marketing and communications initiatives, meaning that we were able to disseminate more information with riders and the communities that we serve than ever before. And so as we're looking at Q1, just to highlight a few really big wins, Q1 was mostly about planning, kind of setting the tone, building out some core collateral. But as we moved into the rest of the year, we really kind of opened the gates and gained momentum on those marketing communications initiatives. For Q2, you can see our list got a little longer. We kickstarted a rebrand process, which we'll talk about in a little bit. We launched a new website, which is seeing upwards of 600 clicks per day, which is up 100% compared to the previous site. We introduced new social media strategy for the HOP's Facebook. That has resulted in a 277% more content being posted compared to 2024 and a 217% increase in engagement as we compare to 2024. So a lot more conversations happening, a lot more information being shared. And we also developed some one-pager templates that we've been using to share custom information with the community about rider tips, service changes, service launches, and more. As we go to the next slide, Q3 deserves its own slide because we did much more, but we launched a comprehensive public engagement process and service change campaign to support the service changes that occurred in October of 2025, resulting in nearly 100 public comments that helped our board make decisions on those service changes. Engagement for that particular process was up 800% compared to prior years. So we're really proud of that. And we're really happy that we've created a strong model to follow as we look forward to future engagement periods. We also created a new brand standards that you can see utilized kind of across all of our marketing content, including custom illustrations and building the HOP's brand library, really with the goal of a cohesive branded experience across the board. And lastly, for Q3, we launched the agency's first rider newsletter called the Rider Report. If you haven't signed up, please do. And that has resulted in an 87% open rate and a 32% click-through rate, which really blows industry standards out of the water. So really proud of that accomplishment. And then as we close out the year with Q4, we conducted, as I said, our first rider survey with really impressive engagement. Again, we reported nearly 1,000 responses with a 99% confidence level and 4% margin of error. And really that just showcases the wide variety of users that are using the service to get to work and school and medical appointments, run errands, etc. So really serving quite a wide variety of use cases. We also introduced a new trifold brochure that can be used for new or existing riders, which we hand out at community events. We also have it on display at key community locations. We produced a travel training video, which is helping our team educate the community about the HOP services, but it's also allowing them to educate more people than before. So, they can do in person, they can send a video, and then the video can be served as a resource that riders can use on their own time if a reminder is needed. And then we also spent quite a bit of time building out a robust marketing and communication strategy for 2026, which is already well in the works, just based on the outcomes of those 2025 initiatives. So we're excited to see the progress there. And I would be remiss if I did not make a plug that we will be rolling out a digital stakeholder newsletter in May of this year. So we will make sure that you all receive an email invitation to sign up, as this is a great way to stay abreast of most important HOP news and things that be of interest to the stakeholders in the organization. Okay, lastly, we just want to provide an update. As I'm sure you have heard, HOP has a rebranding initiative that is well underway. Our board voted on a new name and design for the HOP pending the identification of funding to support the initiative. You'll see here on this slide the final logo and vehicle design that was voted on by the board in September of last year. So we would be moving to the ride. And the goal of this rebrand is really to kind of reshape the perception of the HOP and our public transit services and help us move into a more innovative age and be a draw to those who may have never considered riding public transit before. So since that decision in September, our staff has been working really hard on two main objectives to kind of move this rebrand forward. The first is identifying available funding for the rebrand, which has been identified for both the rural and urban expenses, and we are in a waiting period on approval of that funding, but we are hoping to hear back in late spring. And then the second is a development of an RFP to competitively procure the vehicle wraps, which would be implemented once that funding is available. So ideally, we believe that we can begin the marketing of the rebrand just to kind of get riders and stakeholders familiar with the changes that they're going to see in Q3 of this year, and then work on the wrapping of the vehicles throughout Q4 and beyond. And our goal is to kind of do this over time and with a lot of education to make sure that riders are comfortable with the change and kind of understand what they're seeing. This is a pretty conservative timeline, I would say, and obviously one that hinges on funding resources that are available, but we feel confident in this timeline. So overall, we had an incredible 2025. We're extremely proud of the overall performance. We have a lot of exciting things, I think, on the docket for 2026. And we can't wait to share the results of those with you as we move throughout the year. And while this concludes my presentation, I would be happy to hand it over to Raymond in the room to add anything maybe that I missed, but we're also happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Nicole. Yes, absolutely. We had a great year. We launched the entire regional system in the fall of 2024. So around September was our first year. And with the team, I explained that first year is usually the most inefficient year because a lot of people are learning how to use the system, learning how to travel. And yet we were able to double ridership from the prior years. So that was great. We were also working with our software vendor because we are literally improving the way transit is used, not only here, but nationwide. So our software vendors have been really working on the network connectivity between microtransit and the commuter service, and that's applicable everywhere, so between fixed route and microtransit. In doing so, they've made some incremental improvements, but this year we feel very confident that they will have worked out. And this isn't just the software vendor we've selected, it's all the software vendors as they mature their applications. But there's a certain amount of efficiency that we expect to see this year. We will be grouping more riders than we have in the past. We've also integrated Uber into the system. We went from basically delivering all trips ourselves to about a 35–40% mix between private sector providers and the transit district itself, which has helped us lower our costs. We've gone 3 years without asking for any increase in funding, with significant increases in inflation, supply chain costs. We still gave employees insurance, which really went out of the roof, or through the roof, almost doubled. And we're proud to say that we're becoming ever more efficient as we go. We're expecting increases in ridership. We're already seeing that in 2026 over the prior years. So we couldn't be here without the support of the entire region, our board of directors. The rebranding was literally board driven. We hired a third-party consultant or the board did back in 2021. One of the things that they came back with was that the hop the image of the hop, the value proposition of the hop probably wasn't where it needed to be. So the board went through many iterations to come up with a new name, new brand. I think that will also help connect with the next generations that are making decisions about how they move about. A lot, these next generation a lot of them are not getting their driver's license and getting in the cars until much later. So transit becomes ever more important to them. So I'm just very supportive of the board's direction, very proud of the team, the staff, I think everybody, even the culture inside the transit district has grown in confidence with the path that we're on. So just appreciate all the support and happy to answer any questions that you might have.
I did have a couple of statements, a quick question. As you know, I'm a little leery of changing this, and I will attest that you have made great strides. The only issue is you just created more work for yourself.
Yes.
Especially with the success from the previous year. And then one of the two questions is the rider newsletter. Is there a way to have people opt out of it? And so that way you go automatically in your software?
So once once you sign up for the rider newsletter, there is an option to unsubscribe if you would like to. So right now we're only sending it out quarterly, but there is always an unsubscribe link in the footer that if you no longer want to receive those, that you can.
This would be I'm not sure the word without it being bad, type of marketing. So as soon as, like when I downloaded the app, I was thinking that automatically, because I downloaded the app and signed on, that I'm already signed, and then I have to opt out. That's what I mean.
Okay, yeah. So Texas law requires that you manually subscribe and opt in to receive marketing content via email.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
All right, and then the last question, you had a mention on schools. Are we seeing, is that the public schools or including the college, or is it just the colleges? Because you created another market for yourself if we have more high school students catching up school.
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in. We're seeing hotspots across both, but what we're really seeing is an insurgence in kind of the 18 to 24 age group of riders that are, as Raymond said, like less are getting their driver's license, and more are using transit to get to upper education.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have. Anybody else have any questions?
So I'll add to that we cannot actively pursue schools to provide school transit services. That's really against our FTA rules and guidelines. But we are allowed, and we're providing public transit. If somebody wants to take a trip to a school, they can certainly do that.
Yeah.
The other thing that we're doing with the new solutions that we have is we're taking advantage of the private sector providers that are out there, as well as our own service. We can optimize and balance the best effectiveness, if you will, of a system like this. And one of the challenges of transit has always been, well, it's for the elderly, it's for the disabled and low income. But statistically, you can see that people are using it to get to jobs, they're using it to get to education. So we're not only seeing, ridership is one metric, but who is using the system and how are they using the system is data that we're able to get real time. And it's showing that it's actually adding more value to the communities that we serve because it's resonating with all age groups and type of trip types, if you will, right? So it's being used for recreation, being used for education, being used for healthcare, to get to food, all those different types of services. I have a question.
I just have a question on your expansion that you did in Q4 for Harker Heights. As the data becomes available, I would love to see, metrics for month to month, how the riderships increase in those expanded areas. So we can kind of see if, is there a warrant for continued maybe looking at the whole portion of Harker Heights, or is it just not that many key points? I don't know. I don't have a good feel for that.
Yes, we're tracking that. We'll make it available.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
By city.
I might add.
If our partners want more data, we have it. It's just a matter of sitting down and making sure that we're educating and providing the metrics that each city needs.
One of our 2026 initiatives is to create kind of a series of slides for each of our cities and our counties that are identifying metrics that are specific to them, including rider survey metrics as well as heat maps. And so those will come out on a quarterly basis.
And Derek is watching. He's our director of operations. I specifically asked him because we expanded service area in 4 out of our 5 cities as much as 25% without asking for any additional funds. So typically what you would see wait times go up, but because we're doing so many different things to improve efficiency, we were able to do that expansion without adding more vehicles, without adding more operators, and offloading more of it to Uber style service. But we are seeing increases even in your city or in that expanded area. We'll be happy to share that data. Thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Nicole, and thank you, Raina, for that presentation. We're going to move on to the next item, discussion item regarding the KTMPO Federal Certification Review. Uryan.
All right, every 4 years, the MPO has to go through a federal certification review. We work with Federal Highways, Federal Transit Administration. They come in and do a deep dive into our processes and into our planning documents. And we are due. Our last one was conducted in 2022. This will be I think the 3rd review since I've been at the MPO. But what I'd like to do now is I'd like to introduce Kirk Falver, who is our Federal Highways MPO representative. He's over there in the corner. Kirk is new to the Killeen-Temple MPO, but he has been with Federal Highways for many, many, many years. He's very familiar with the FCR process, and he has assured me that they're not looking to gig us on things. They're looking for ways to show where we can do better, possibly, or use some of our processes and practices to share those across the nation to other MPOs. But Kirk, if you'd like to say anything about the process or anything.
Yeah, we're looking forward to coming out on April 15th and 16th. I think the certification review is going to take place here.
Correct.
In the building. And I've done about 30 certification reviews over a 37-year period. So I'm a veteran of Federal Highway, almost 4 decades. So we're looking forward to a great review, and I think we're gonna see some great things coming out of this region that we can share as best practices, like Ron said, with other MPOs and state DOTs across the country. So appreciate. We'll probably take about 3 months to write the final report after the conclusion of the onsite with FTA, and I've been pretty much on target in getting the reports out in a timely fashion. I know in some parts of the state, they haven't seen theirs in 4 years or maybe even longer, but I'm usually tied down to 3 to 4 months at most, and I'll make sure it gets done. Any questions about the upcoming review, or any questions or concerns?
So,
Yes, sir.
just big nuggets. What are the couple of things that you're really looking at when you come?
Yeah, we're going to look at the TMA requirement, the transportation management area requirements, including congestion management process. I saw you had a consultant online to improve your process. We're going to look at public engagement, public involvement. We're going to look at freight, integration of freight planning into your planning process, how you're doing that. We'll look at performance-based planning and programming, looking at safety and bridge pavement type of performance targets and how they're being integrated into your project selection process. There's a whole list. I think we got the agenda out. Uryan has the agenda, and the announcement just went out in January, so January 12th it came out. So we're looking forward to an exciting opportunity here to learn about your process. Any other questions or comments? Like Ron said, we're not out to get people. I'm not from Texas A&M. I don't go big on Longhorns fan. Keep the horns up, no horns down, please. I apologize if you're from Oklahoma. It's just really concerning to me that you're in Texas if you're from Oklahoma. But
They got lost.
yeah, I'm a big UT fan. So I'm from Kentucky originally. I grew up in Louisville. So I went to University of Louisville, majored in civil engineering, and got my bachelor's, and somehow I got my master's somehow. And been traveling around the country, the federal highway. I lived in about 6 or 7 places across the country, including DC for a while. And that was a concerning experience in 3 or 4 years I spent in DC, but also California, so that was kind of unfortunate for 5 years. But I've got experience all over the state, all over the country, so. Looking forward.
I was in DC for the first 20 years of my life, so I can remember.
Oh, it's just the commute that killed me. I mean, driving to the metro and then getting on the metro and getting in the office was an hour and a half at least.
The good Lord blessed all of you by letting you come to a state.
Yeah, we just got open spaces here and just kind of crammed together, but I apologize. I didn't mean to offend you.
Oh, no, you did.
DC perspective, but it's just working in that government type of environment was kind of tough.
I
During the
avoided
Clinton
it.
administration. Way back then.
I avoided it. I had 23 years in the Army. I kept saying I wanted to go there, so the Army didn't send me there.
Well, you got to see the world.
Yeah. All right, any other questions?
I would just like to say that there's information on the review, page 61 in your packet. The letter has also been included, as well as the agenda. The first day, we'll do elected official interviews. There are 3 elected officials that will be interviewed. In between those interviews, we'll actually have the policy board meeting. And then everything else, of course, will just happen behind the scenes, I guess, right here in this room. But you're more than welcome to attend to the entire review process if you'd like. Or you're more than welcome to go on with the rest of your life, whichever you prefer. It's going to be very exciting though. So we look forward to the review, and if anything comes up or if you have any questions about the review process, please just reach out and let us know.
Any other questions or comments? Here's the agenda in front of you right now.
It's gonna be a busy day and a half. I don't know how we're gonna cram all that together. If you really get it done on the second day. I've done these before in a day and a half, busy. It'll get done hopefully by 12:15. Not in time to do a tour. Maybe we should do a brief tour from one too. Major projects going on here. I don't know. Day 2 is gonna be packed too, so.
Maybe adjourned to 15, that's not.
I do have I guess a comment. One of the things that I'm seeing nationwide is the struggle, especially around contract awards, with presidential executive orders that say strike out anything with DEI, some portion of DBE and EO. And so I'm still seeing contracts that are being let through state and other I'll say local governments that still have all the old language in it. And I have worked with attorneys from these boards that say, oh, don't worry about it, because the executive order isn't necessarily law, but the original executive order, the original law was an executive order that placed all that into into place to begin with. So there's a lot of concern about what we're supposed to have in documents when we go out and do procurements, especially around PDE, DBE goals, and EO compliance. I've had most of the attorneys coming back saying, no, all that language needs to change, but I don't know that the federal entities like FTA and Federal Highway have given guidance as to, well, what is the new language that's supposed to be in those procurements?
Right, we have put out the White House memo on those
Yes.
words that have been removed from our vocabulary under the new administration. I believe, Uryan, you have a copy of that White House memo. If you don't, I can send it to you. And it strikes out things like climate change and environmental justice and equity, words like that. I didn't see it touch DBE or the LEP, the limited English proficiency, is still there under Title VI. So Title VI is still there. But we do have that guidance from the White House. We haven't had anything official from FHWA or FTA, but just follow the White House guidance.
The concern is that if a procurement is let where if there's federal money involved, the potential of a clawback that says you didn't follow federal rules. So that was the concern, and I'm starting to see.
We're seeing that taken out of the Metropolitan Planning documents, UPWP, the plan, the TIP. We're seeing a lot of that stuff being stricken out. I don't know that much about the contract procurement side. I think that's covered under 2 CFR 200. But if you have specific questions about that on the transit side, I can put you in contact with the administrator or the deputy administrator at FTA Region 6. You can discuss with Don Koski or his boss at Region 6.
Yeah, we have a good relationship with FTA.
Okay.
I was just letting this group.
Yeah, FTA would be able to give you some guidance, perhaps. I know that David, the lead planner, the director of the planning division, has given us a lot of good input on what to look for. But it's been very informal and casual communication and emails, telephone calls, things like that. Nothing written down, just the White House memo. So I'll be back. He'll probably tell you the same thing.
That was addressed in the NLC Transportation Infrastructure Committee. Those same concerns. I know recently the San Antonio City Council had a long debate about receiving that issue and receiving federal dollars and whether to accept them because of that language requirement. Yes. I believe Dallas also had a discussion. Not sure what the NPOs had, but the word is out across Texas for the most part.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, anything else on item 9? All right, we're gonna move on to item 10 regarding the draft fiscal year 27 to 30 Transportation Improvement Program and the draft 2027 UTP, pages 65 through 71 of your reference. You're right. Nope. Callie.
Hi, so it's time that we start the draft for our FY 27 through 30 TIP. And while we're planning for that as well, we're including programming projects for the UTP, which is TxDOT's 10-year planning program. In your packet, you'll see a spreadsheet, and if you're looking at it on print, you probably won't see much because it's really tiny, but we have all of those projects broken out. For category 2, we are planning on adding 1 new project to the FY 27 through 30 TIP. And of course, any projects that we've already programmed in the FY 25 through 28 TIP, they're staying in there. This one would just be in addition to that project. And we have 7 other projects we are considering adding to the UTP. You'll see that there is quite a big balance left over within the UTP for Cat 2. So we are looking at the other projects that are listed in there that are already listed, but to maybe move them over into the TIP year. We just are mainly looking at project readiness and need a few more conversations before we make any decision on those. For category 7, we're looking to add 2 new TIP projects and 1 new UTP project. Then for Cat 9, we do not have we would be out of fiscal restraint if we added a project to the FY 27 through 30 tip. So we're just looking to add 2 new UTP projects. And the first draft for this is due at the end of this month on February 27th. And this is just the first draft, and we'll bring back to you, I'm sure, with more changes in March, another draft, and then for final approval, we'll submit this to you in May. And then in June is whenever everything is due for us to have everything finalized. Are there any questions?
You did well. All right, thanks. Move on to item 12, no, excuse me, item 11, right? Regarding KTMPO's travel demand model update, and that is just, take forward.
So just a quick update on what the TDM is. For those who don't know, it's a federally mandated, we're federally mandated to have some type of method to give us an analytical performance-based method to evaluate future transportation conditions. The TDM helps us understand how people and goods move across our region, identify current and future congestion problems, and evaluate our projects like in the TIP and the NTP across our cities, counties. Kind of just a key takeaway of the TDM is it provides an objective regional data to support the board's decisions here. Update, our model supports projects scoring by documenting regional need, like I discussed before, congestion, things like that. We commonly use travel time and delay reduction, system efficiency and reliability, and multimodal access connectivity to kind of rank and put these projects on there. This allows fair comparison across roadway transit, safety, and active transportation projects. The result is a transparent and equitable project ranking process for you guys to look at. The model supports project selecting by prioritizing projects with the greatest long-term regional benefit, aligning selections with the NTP and TIP like I discussed a little bit before, strengthening eligibility and competitiveness for state and federal funding, and protecting limited transportation resources. Key final takeaway for you guys is you all set the priorities and the model provides the evidence to support those priorities. And then this is just a quick little update about where KTMPO is soliciting consultants for this project. This is just a little bullet point of what their responsibilities will be from us. They're just updating our master network, providing that 2030 interim year and the 2055 horizon year that we do, updating our CAS geographies, which is our demographic data, and providing zonal data for all those different years. And then here's our timeline. The ones with stars, those are opportunities for you guys to review those different tasks and then give us some feedback. We'll have one in May, one in December, which I think is a January meeting, and then a final one in 2027 in the April meeting. Y'all have any questions or concerns?
I think that kind of answered your question, Jason.
It does, now the TPPs do the network, but y'all can do some QA. One thing to keep in mind, having been through it before, it gets tricky at looking at the base year network because, and I'm thinking Temple, North Outer Loop, that roadway didn't exist, wasn't open in 2025 in the base year. But in the next year and a half, it is going to be open. So it's going to affect the forecast year. I know other cities have projects that don't exist in the base year, but we know are coming. You know, even if it's a project you haven't got funded yet, you know, if it's something that's, we know it's going to affect the forecast year network, to make sure we're checking those, because that, I'm trying to think of a concise way of saying it. That base year is a snapshot in time, but we are building like crazy. So just make sure we're accounting for all those changes.
Yeah, we don't want the base year to be outdated.
Right, that's it.
Any other questions or comments?
Are y'all working with Janie Temple's group over at TPPB to get the model up and running, calibrated, validated, and all that?
Yeah, I believe, yeah, right. We worked with them at that, I believe the kickoff meeting, they were there, and then most of the responsibility is on us until around late December this year or early December this year with their stuff completed in March of next year. But yeah, we'll be constantly working back and forth with all these different groups and just doing updates and making sure we're checking in with each other.
Okay. Thank you. Next item is 12, regarding updates to the Regional Active Transportation Plan, pages 76 to 80. Anita.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Are you able to pull up that cover, Ashley? So we started working on the Regional Active Transportation Plan well over a year ago, and we had our first round of public engagement from June 23rd to July 21st in 2025. And it was during that season that we realized our limitations. We had some GIS limitations and with the GIS infrastructure. And so we went back to the drawing board and sort of re-emphasized our role in putting this plan together. It will go out for public engagement beginning February 23rd for 45 days, ending April 13th. Some of the best practices are where we're going to land and begin leveraging consultant use. We'd like to conduct a regional trail study and have a consultant lead that. You know, the idea is to have some type of connector trail that goes from one end of our boundary, which is Kempner, all the way to Troy. But we want to be thinking outside the box. We want to be great collaborators. The county of Lampasas just had a state park, and we had them come and speak. So that would be a great connector point. We have Nolan Creek area that is a great connector point. We have the city of Temple, their new Rails to Trails, that Georgetown trail. That's a great connector point. So we really need a consultant to come and put these types of things together for us to be forward thinking as we move through this process. Another best practice that I'm super excited about as well is recommending coordinating the SITCOG 911 program to improve trail safety and to use for signage and wayfinding guidelines. So if you're in Kempner has a park, if you're at the Kempner Park and you need 911 assistance, that would look very similar to anything that's happening in the city of Temple's park. So we'd have a uniform signage there. Other items are really to think outside the box and start partnering with nonprofit-led trail initiatives where there's funding coming outside of the federal government, working with trail tourism, economic development boards, and thinking outside the box on how we can connect these trails, and not just for active transportation, but also for individuals that need to get to work, that are going to be walking or riding their bikes. So this plan is on our website. You can send comments in. Please look at it. Especially look at that last chapter if you're compressed for time, and say, you know, I've got an idea of a best practice, and email that to us so that we can include that as we move forward. Are there any questions?
Yeah, the GIS report that I did last summer that showed how we were.
Yes.
So that was tied to this as well.
Yes, sir. We actually, we do have a GIS live map available.
Has that improved since that last report?
No, that's one of the reasons we're supposed to get some new GIS programming. Do you want to report on that, Tay? Like we had limitations, and you said that we needed to update some of our software.
Oh, I know. Just the limitation we have is the comments and stuff, right? That map.
I think some of us were, the way we did stuff was a little, caused some of the connections when you tap into, I guess, the individual cities' GIS. I think was one of the comments that was made.
Yeah. So according to my notes, because this happened a long time, so I'm going to have to look at the notes, y'all. Some communities involved in the project have limited GIS infrastructure, which slowed the progress on spatial analysis. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, so we were able to kind of reach out to more of our local partners and we got more feedback. So it's been updated a bit, but some smaller towns is like the sidewalk inventory, I know was a big one that we didn't have from like the smaller cities, but that's a little understandable because normally it's a big cost burden to try to get analysis like that. But I'm still investigating some cost-effective ways to get that sidewalk inventory without relying on the cities, just because that is a burden that they have. I was just at a TxDOT data meeting where they introduced that near map may be something that we can use. So I'll be kind of looking into that because I know near map has the sidewalk inventory that we may be looking for.
And that would be really another best practice is completing that sidewalk inventory. So like having those types of conversations, y'all looking at the best practices and informing us of things that we might have missed is really important to this plan.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is discussion regarding transportation grants. Ashley.
Yes, so we've compiled the list you see in front of you of just upcoming transportation funding opportunities. We've also compiled a log to keep track of all past and future grants so we can keep y'all updated as they open, close. Yeah, so that's basically all for that. Does anyone have any questions?
No questions on money? Thank you. Next item, regarding discussion regarding public input received to the previous month.
Thank you so much. Do y'all mind going to the next slide?
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. So during the month of January, we received 5 public comments. One of them was regarding the presentations that we had on the Land Passes State Park. So it was a positive response. And overall, most of our comments are seeking information or positive. We hadn't had anything negative yet. This is what it looks like by subject matter. They were on the I-14 extension, public transit, safety, KTMPO processes, and we had 32 responses to the tip of proposed amendment that we had during the month of January. Do you mind? Thank you. And so our total comments starting off strong. Got a long way to go. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And that's what, Uryan, your turn.
All right. I'll try to follow. I don't remember what I was supposed to say here, so I'm just going to add to it. No, I took some notes. As you'll see on the screen, we have our upcoming meetings. The March 11th TAC meeting had to be rescheduled and will be held March 11th. We didn't have space available at the COG to have that meeting. And as you may remember, the March policy board meeting was moved to the 24th, which I believe is a Tuesday. So it won't be held on a Wednesday, it'll be held on a Tuesday. And that was because we had to reschedule the meeting. Staff weren't going to be available for the regularly scheduled meeting, as we'll be in DC at the AMPO Spring Fly-In. And the following week, we didn't have a meeting room. So that up there is the dates we have scheduled and solidified for meetings here at the COG. Other updates that I have, reauthorization bills have started to drop for surface transportation. There is a bill that's been included, or a high-level overview of a bill that, to my understanding, has been submitted to the legislature in the House. It was submitted, and they are looking for a Senate bill as well. So that's going through the process. Myself and Kendra will be up in DC, so I'm sure we'll have a lot of conversation about reauthorization efforts in March. Kendra is part of the technical advisory committee, so not really policy level, but more technical. But I will actually be on Capitol Hill Tuesday the 17th. I have confirmed with AMPO that we will be meeting with Carter's staff, with Cruz's staff, and a handful of other legislators. We typically split up into groups because there's 30 of us. So five to seven of us will attend different meetings to educate the legislative folks on the importance of planning, what we do, and how these dollars impact our regions. I would like to say, while I speak to that, we do have a guest in the room. Benjamin with Congressman Carter's legislative staff from DC is here. He's in the back corner over there. I met with him and Sam Garrison yesterday to go over some of our reauthorization priorities, as well as to speak to some other COG information. So he's here. Please don't tackle him. I'm sure he's happy to chat with you all, but one at a time, please. I appreciate him taking the time to visit us while he's down here from DC, and look forward to meeting with him again with the AMPO policy committee folks when we're up there. The last thing I have is the SS4A award. We are still waiting on an actual agreement to come through. We've started drafting the agreement, but that's going to be a multiple iteration. We've got to draft the agreement, send it back to them. It's almost like filing your taxes. You do your taxes, you send it to them, they tell you what you've done wrong, and then you get to try to correct it. So we're going through that effort right now. Yeah. The only other thing I have is I have the air quality readings, which were 50 and 48 parts per billion. And one of the biggest things, a couple of people have reached out to me directly as they've seen my name in the newspaper. I want to assure everybody that I do not work solely for the village of Salado at this point. I am an interim. I still am with the Central Texas Council of Governments and the MPO. So if you see that in the paper, you can rest assured that I am still here. I am not solely with the village of Salado. In that, it's been very exciting. I'm doing that, and I appreciate the assistance I have received from all of your jurisdictions as I reach out, as I ask for assistance in my role there. So thank you all for that.
Thank you, sir. Member comments.
I got some. I know most people in the room already know, but we got awarded the new VA clinic in Crawford's Cove last Friday. So I'd like to thank Congressman Carter's office and also Department of the VA, and I don't have to drive the Temple no more.
All right. Any other comments?
Yeah.
It's the parking over there.
Well, that too.
Oh, do we have somebody, a member online to comment?
Yes, sir. Yeah, Rialkis, this is Bobby Whitson. Thanks for covering for me today, first off, and I'd like to give Uryan a lot of kudos for helping our little community in Salado down there. I know that's a big job. Been doing a great job there, and he still answers my questions about KTMPO too. So he's still in the office at the COG as well. I can verify that. So thank y'all for what you're doing.
Oh, thanks. As I know, Ryan mentioned AMPO. That's NLC is going to be in DC around the same time. I'll be on Capitol Hill on the 17th and 18th. If you're not an NLC member, feel free to email me if you have issues, because we will be advocating for more direct funds to cities. Not taking money away from states, but I know we want more direct funds for cities, MPOs, and counties. That's what it was. Without taking money from the state DOTs. And we will be at Congressman Carter's office, Kluger's office, and a few others. That's all I have. Is there nothing else? With the business of the policy board being taken, the meeting stands adjourned. And there's no workshop.
Thank you.